Right next to me is a 911 GTS. Yes, that's right. This is probably the most expensive car we've reviewed on DiscoverCars, but also my personal favorite. This is a 911 GTS, and I've got 3 reasons why this actually signals the end of an era in the Porsche lineage.
Came through dripping Aquafina, I'm 715, kept a weapon on me. Flow make digits, I'm on my business, stack chicken like what it's gon' be. Crew in the cut, hey, you want us red run when I tell a bit peace. Love is love.
So this particular car, if you do like it straight off the get-go and the way it looks, because I do as well, it's actually for sale at Porsche Centre Canberra. You can check it out. I'll put a link for it down below. So this is the 991 generation 911 to those keen eyes. To Mr. Joe Regular, this is another 911. However, you will be wrong because this is a GTS, signified by the little 3 letters down the side and also down the back. And GTS stands for Gran Turismo Sport, harking all the way back to the mid-50s, where it meant this is a fast car, but it doesn't have to break your back or take out airbags and sound deadening for that speed experience. So that's what a GTS is. Now, what do you get for a GTS? Pretty much, you get these awesome center lock wheels. You've also got a bigger, meaner stance. This one's got a PASM suspension, meaning it's got a couple of millimeters chopped from the suspension, meaning it can sit a little bit nicer. You've also got sports exhaust. You've got lots of Alcantara inside, and more importantly, you've got a 3.8 litre flat 6 naturally aspirated engine, and that one is taken from the Big Daddy GT3, detuned and thrown to the back of this thing, making it a more everyday GT3, if you want to say that. So while we're back here, before we get to the engine, I just wanted to talk about how clean 911s look at the back. I love the wings on GT3s and GT2 RSs, but this one has it built in. So this one pops up, as shown. When you start hitting some higher speeds, just keep that extra stability, and it does look pretty sleek as well. But it also pops back down as well. So by pressing and holding the button inside, it will actually press it down, so you can either push it up manually for flair around town, but otherwise it just sits really sleek, keeps for an iconic shape at the back. You've also got these mean blacked out exhaust, which is part of the sports exhaust system. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how good this sounds in comparison to other naturally aspirated cars. Like, you've got the pops, burbles, bangs. Normally that are characteristics of turbocharged engines, but this just sounds incredible and also provides such a great soundtrack for this particular engine. So under this little hatchback here, there's a lot to look at. Yes, 2 PC fans. This is a 3.8 litre naturally aspirated flat 6 taken from the GT3. It is detuned a little bit, but it pumps out 420 horsepower or 316 kilowatts for us Aussies, and also 440 newton meters of torque. This thing will hit 100 kilometers an hour in 4 seconds flat. So jumping on the interior, really quickly wanted to mention that this car feels like you're driving a normal car. You've got that center console that comes and meets the dash. It's all the Alcantara that makes it feel really special. And also, yes, this is a PDK box. This is not a manual, and that does upset a few people, but I can tell you what, it's the next, it's not even the next best thing. I think it's even better, because when you don't want to think about it, you don't have to think about it, and it becomes a normal car when you put it into drive. But put these paddles down and you get a ridiculous noise at the back, and also this thing revs up to 9,000 RPM. Yes, 9,000 RPM. I mean, it gets close to it, but it just has the number 9 on the dash, so you know, I'll say it revs up to 9,000 because it sure sounds like it. And you don't have to get near that to make this thing sound really good here. So yes, it's somewhat practical in the interior, but no, it's one step further. It has rear seats. Yes, if you looked at this car and thought it didn't have rear seats, you were mistaken, my friend. This is my attempt to get into the back seats. I'm no 6-foot monster like Doug DeMuro, but nevertheless, we will prosper. So in the back, you can move the seat further forward so someone like myself can get in and sitting in the back seats. I mean, look, I've got plenty of headroom, and you know, my legroom is amazing. Look at this. I've got, you know, I'm not even straddling the seat. I'm having a really good time back here, and I'm sure I could see myself driving really long distances. So great points for practicality. Also, these do fold flat as well. So if you're in the back, you can just, you know, have your own little shelf in the back. But okay, let's be real. There's people who don't really get my sarcasm sometimes. So these seats are not for everyday use. They're great parcel shelves and for small children. So if you want to drop the kids off to the school run, go for it. But yeah, don't take your friends in this if you still want to be friends with them after you've taken a ride in the GTS. You join me inside the 911 GTS, and where I can only describe as being pure driving bliss. Now, driving this car with the PDK gearbox is the easiest thing in the world. Yes, it's an automatic. Yes, it has 2 pedals, so of course it's easy, but some automatics don't handle so well at low speeds in a sports car, but like this is like driving your grandma's Golf. It's so easy to drive, even in Sports Plus. It's so easy to drive. It's 2 different beasts because you have such a wide rev range and it's such a wide power band. This thing revs all the way up to 9,000 RPM. That's right, 9,000 RPM. So, I mean, at least I can see it on the rev counter, but it's close to about mid-8s. And I'm using the paddles at the moment, and these paddles are so responsive, it's ridiculous. Ask any car reviewer and professional, the PDK gearbox is simply one of the best automatics you can buy, and can turn most people away from a manual. These new engines from the 992 and the later generation 991s are turbocharged, but this is pure driving bliss. Like, you've got that beautiful engine sounding all the way out the back, and it makes itself well known. I'm driving Sport Plus at the moment to give it the most amount of flair for this video, but everything in this car is set up to be track ready. So this car is designed to be something you can take away on the back roads and also destroy everyone at the track. Now, the reason why I love this car is because of the engine. So put my window down and you can see what I'm on about. So drop down a couple of gears and then oh my gosh, I just pull the weirdest face, but it's so cool. Oh my gosh, it's just one of the coolest things to be in this car with that engine and that setup. It's the reason why people love the 911 and its flat 6. It's an iconic engine. It just sounds so different from what other V6s or a V8 would sound like. It's just so different. Only like there's not many manufacturers that use a flat 6, even if at all. It is the last of its kind, and that is for one very good reason, and that's pretty much emissions and power. The new 992 Carrera S, which is turbocharged, is faster than this car. And that's the S, as I described, it sits lower in the model range. So to think about what the new generation GTS will do is, I have no idea, and I'm sure it'll be something ridiculous. But the fact that the S is getting the same power and if not faster acceleration than this car just goes to show you that if you're trying to get more performance out of a car, turbocharging is the way to go, and also you get a bit better emissions going for you as well. So that's the 911 GTS. This engine marks the end of an era. It's the last naturally aspirated engine in the GTS range. It's going to be hard to say bye to this, but it's easy to go to the warm embrace of a beautiful, very powerful turbocharged flat 6 of the new generation. So that leads me on to the DiscoverCars score, and straight into it, we're going to the practicality score. That's a 5 out of 10. Come on, it's a sports car. What more can you expect? The seats at the back are okay. You have a bit more space in the back than you would a normal mid-engine slash rear engine car, and the boot at the front is a little bit more generous than others, but overall it's not super strong, and I wouldn't really advise it to drive it to go move house. So that moves me on to the daily score. The daily score gets a 6 out of 10, and that is really because this car with the PDK gearbox really feels like you're driving your grandma's Golf with some shoddy springs. That's because it's got great visibility and it's very tame when you don't want it to be too sporty. But in that saying, all you need to do is put your foot down about this much and you're going to start rocketing. When you move on to the performance score, that's going to change things a bit. It's going to a 9 out of 10 for that. Come on, 0 to 104 seconds, you've got over 400 horsepower. This car has a setup like no tomorrow. That is why every second car at a track day is a 911. That moves me on to the cool factor. The cool factor scores a great 9 out of 10. That is because, come on, it doesn't have the flair of a Ferrari or the looks of a Lamborghini, but that's good because you don't really want that when every second person's going to be sitting on your bonnet taking photos because of the cool factor. So this car can sleep around town a little bit without anyone knowing about it, but also it's a 911. It's one of the best sports cars ever produced, hence why it scores a 9 out of 10, simply because it's a 911, and adding the fact it's a GTS and a lot more fun to drive than your usual 911. So that leads me to the overall score of 7.25 out of 10. So that's a really strong score for a car like this, especially since it's missing a few practicality features such as a boot. But yeah, that's been my review of this, and I hope you really like it. If you liked it, make sure you leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. I don't know how we're going to one-up this, but I'm sure we'll find some way to. This has been Cameron Sutherland with DiscoverCars. Thank you so much for watching. If you noticed my haircut, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.